Yo, welcome to Hot Takes with Cheddar Chaz, but there's no hand holding. We do with facts, not emotion. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell notifications so you can know when we go live, new episodes, things of that nature. Shout out to Topo Chico, DraftKings, New York Life, Verge Law. You guys should support them because they support us. Bell suffered a very, 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 very brutal defeat last night at the hands of the Los Angeles Lakers. Oh, it was ugly on national TV at that. Real bad, real bad. The Pelicans really did need that game. Wasn't necessarily a must-win, but it was pretty close to a must-win considering the playoff implications and pick implications. So it was really unfortunate loss. But this season, has been a roller coaster, right? And right now we're in the valley. We're in the valley, right? We're going into All-Star break, one game above 500. And I know some people are going to say, well, this time last year, whatever. That's stupid because this is not last year's team. Last year's team didn't have CJ to start to have. They got CJ right before the All-Star break, but they didn't have CJ, didn't have JV, they had JV, didn't have Larry Nance, rather. Your guys weren't in their second years. You didn't have Zion to start the season. It's, this is not last year's team. So I really think that's not a great excuse or comparison to use anymore at this point. But whose fault is this, right? Whose fault is this? I think it's really easy and convenient to blame injuries. Personally, I do believe that the injuries played a major factor in this. But at the same time, man, some of these things have been being said and called out since last season. And if nobody else called it out, I know I called it out. I can't speak for everyone, but I know for sure I called it out. You know what I'm saying? As far as the coaching staff not necessarily being the best, needing, a better assistant, head coach, second chair, someone to really help Willie Green make some of these decisions, help with rotations, timeout management, things of that nature. Rounding out the bottom end of the roster better, getting another guy who's just dependable. You know what I'm saying? Zion, for as great as he is, bro, you got to stay healthy. You got to stay healthy. When you are healthy, arguably top 10, top 12 guy, right? Got to stay healthy. At this point, we're going on year 4. Well, this is year 4. Been injury every season at some point, right? The Stan injury was a little funny style, but this year again, it was a devastating injury. It was a really bad injury, y'all. Like I'm telling you, it was a bad injury. But at the same time, you have to stay healthy, bro. You have to stay healthy. You can't make the club in the tub. Brandon has returned since Brandon's been back. I think he's been in about 11 games. His stat line has been, his first game back was against the Minnesota Timberwolves. 4 for 18 for 13 points. In a loss. Washington game loss. He went, 8 for 22 for 22 points. Lost at Denver. 5 for 17 for 16 points. Lost at Dallas. 10 for 20 for 26 points. And mind you, Luka exited that game early. Great game against the Lakers in the second meeting. 15 for 28 for 35. Really good game against Atlanta. 11 for 18 for 30. Questionable game against Cleveland. Really good game and closed that game out magnificently against OKC. 14 for 24 for 34 points. Last night, it was a really bad effort from Brandon. Really bad effort, particularly in the third quarter. Brandon and Trey in the third quarter really just drove the nail into the coffin for the Pelicans. Brandon getting outdueled by D'Angelo Russell and Trey just mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. CJ's been pretty non-existent. But the thing with CJ, I've always been pretty critical of CJ, but CJ is an older guy. I'm sure his legs have been shot. He's been carrying a much heavier load than I'm sure he anticipated when coming to this team with Zion and Brandon being out. CJ hasn't missed many games. So, at this point, I'm kind of like, whatever. Jonas Valanciunas is not getting the ball. He was 3 for 4 and 8 rebounds at one point in the third quarter. Didn't get another touch until the fourth quarter. It's inexcusable coaching. Inexcusable, especially when Anthony Davis doesn't like to play the 5. Jonas Valanciunas has done well against Anthony Davis historically, and you don't give him a touch until the fourth quarter. It's inexcusable. It's terrible, right? Then you have, you have Josh Richardson come in. He gets thrown out on a bogus ejection. LeBron commits a flagrant foul against him that doesn't get called. He gets tossed on a bogus, ejection. And the fact that this roster makeup is so bad, you just lost one of your best players in Josh Richardson. That it's not a knock against Josh Richardson whatsoever. Josh Richardson is historically a very solid player, but the guy just came to your team. He's been in your team for 1.5 games, and he's already one of your best players. That says a lot. You know what I'm saying? That speaks volumes. This is a very troublesome situation here with the roster makeup and with this staff. I guess some people question, how can you maximize Brandon at this point? I don't know that you can. I don't know that you can maximize Brandon. Look, it don't matter. Yes, the coaching staff is lacking creativity, but Brandon does what he wants to do in this offense. Brandon is very comfortable in the mid-range. He's very comfortable taking difficult shots. For him, he would say they probably aren't difficult. Those are the shots he lives for. But that brand of basketball is not a consistent brand of basketball. It's more luck driven. Like, you taking a shot over two, defenders in the mid range. If it doesn't go in, people are going to say, oh, well, it was a difficult shot. It was a bad shot. If it goes in, it's going to say, oh, look how great he is. It's like, come on. It's a bad brand of offense. You have to generate easier looks for Brandon. Brandon has to take advantage of situations when he does create an advantage. You can't keep waiting for the defender to catch up with you and go into isolation basketball when you're not moving the ball whatsoever. Same thing with CJ. You can't continue to dribble the air out of the ball. You have to feed Jonas when Jonas has an advantage. You have to feed Trey when Trey has an advantage or he's open waiting for the ball. You have to take advantage of these things when you create them. And it just has to be some accountability across the board, bro. This is no accountability. Everything can't be, when healthy or when Zion's healthy. It was like, okay, but how often is that? How realistic is that at this point? It can't be, we got to get BI some help or da-da-da. It wasn't this situation. It wasn't that situation. It's like, bro, why does it always have to be the perfect situation for Brandon to succeed? Why does it always have to be the perfect situation for Willie Green to succeed? That's inexcusable. It doesn't have to be the perfect situation for me to know when to call a timeout. It doesn't have to be the perfect situation for me to know that Jonas Valanciunas has an advantage in the post and I need to feed him the ball and not take a shot over two defenders in the mid-range. It doesn't. I don't need to study anything to know that. That should be instinctual. And the fact that it's not instinctual, that really shows a lack of accountability, because who's going to get on these guys and tell them that, hey, you need to stop doing it? No one's going to do that. The only people I've ever seen called out on this team have been Trey, but called out by Willie Green that I've seen visually have been Trey and maybe Willie Hernangomez. Willie Green doesn't talk to anyone else like that. He doesn't call out anyone else from what I've seen. I don't know what he does in practice. I don't know what he does in the film room. But from what I've seen during games, there's only a couple of guys that have been taken to task. And I assure you, Trey Murphy is not the only person making mistakes on this team. Willie Hernangomez is not the only person making mistakes on this team. There needs to be accountability across the board. If you can't hold guys accountable across the board, I have to question if your sincerity in holding people accountable, if it's disingenuous or not. And I have to question if you're the right leadership for this team, because this team does not look inspired. A message from my sponsors. This podcast is sponsored by the Birds Law Firm, the official injury lawyers of Boo Crew Media, located at 918 Porter Street by the Superdome. Give them a call at 504-523-5413 if you or someone you know has been involved in an accident. And be sure to mention we sent you. Birds Law Firm, the official injury lawyers of Boo Crew Media. Yeah, so people don't have to apologize and all that stuff to me. It's cool. I don't accept apologies anyway. It's all good. I'll just say this. I wiped the slate clean once the Zion news came out. I said, you know what? Whatever happens from this day forward, that's how I'll evaluate this team moving forward, right? And it's not looking good, man. It is not looking good. But that's been today's show.